Nice to meet you and welcome aboard to be the first year, the hot seater of this afternoon session. So let's begin. Could you please elaborate on the Lego Braille Bricks project announced today by the Lego Foundation and the Lego Group, and for who is it for?
Okay, so the Lego Braille Bricks project is something that we've announced today that we're launching, and it's to enable blind and visually impaired children to learn to read Braille. And what we've done is we've taken a regular 2x4 Lego brick, and then we've ground out the studs in order to represent the Braille alphabet. So you can see on this card here how the different studs have been configured. Braille is a 2x3 matrix is how the different symbols are represented in Braille. So what we've done is we've utilized the Lego bricks, the 2x4 Lego bricks, in order to represent the different Braille characters. And then on the bottom of the Braille bricks, we've put the specific character that is represented by that Braille item so that sighted people can use the Braille bricks in conjunction with visually impaired and blind children to help them, but also it's very inclusive as well. So it's a way in which blind children can participate and learn to read alongside their sighted peers as well.
So it's for what, for the kind of for people regarding the age? We can start at...
Well, you can start at 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends very much on the specific individual child and where they are in their developmental process, but yeah, that's typically the starting age.
Okay, and could you develop more about the background of this kind of project?
Yeah, so we were approached back in 2011 by the Danish Blind Association with regards to the potential of developing this particular concept. But at that point in time, in both the journey of the foundation and the company, we weren't really able to accommodate that at that point. And then in 2017, a foundation in Brazil called the Throught Foundation that's focused on helping blind and visually impaired people in Brazil came back with further work that they had done around this particular concept. And at that point in time, we were better equipped to be able to respond to that. So we've been working in collaboration with them, as well as blind associations in Denmark and in the UK and Norway, in order to develop the concept. And now we're ready to make the announcement today.
And in France, what about the France?
Well, France will be involved in our second phase. So our first phase is we'll continue the pilot work, because it's very important, whilst the bricks are a key element of the facilitation of how to teach to read Braille, equally important, if not even more so, is the actual teaching approach. And what we're doing is we're working with teachers and pedagogues that specifically work with visually impaired students to help develop the whole approach as to how to utilize these bricks in the most effective way. And that's turning up some really great, interesting insights that we hope to be able to be incorporated in the methodology that we then do in the second phase, which will include France and Germany and Spain.
Okay, and why did you choose this specific cause to work with?
Well, as I mentioned, we had been requested in the past by from the Danish Blind Association first off in 2011, and then the Throught Foundation in Brazil, who have been very, very instrumental into the development of this process. And on the back of that, we really felt compelled to help out the children that find themselves visually impaired and blind, to be able to have this playful way in which they can engage with Braille and the methodology of reading.
Okay, and for this first step, do you know how many people or children will use these bright bricks?
No, we're still working that out through the pilot phase. So through the testing phase, we'll have
There
to
is
wait and see.
a number of children, no?
But hopefully, as many children as we possibly can get access to through qualified teachers, because that's going to be the methodology. I want to stress that this is not a commercial product. This is not something that will be sold. It's something that the Lego Foundation will be donating to qualified teachers around the countries that are referring to, hopefully wider in the world as well in the future.
And what do you hope to achieve with the Lego Bright Bricks project?
Well, what we hope to do is give visually impaired and blind children more intellectual freedom and the ability to have more equity in the context of their ability to learn. The research has shown that children or visually impaired people or blind people that are able to read Braille typically are more literate. So what we hope is through this process, we will enhance the opportunities for blind children around the world and also give them, as I mentioned before, we're hopeful that this will also be more inclusive as well, so that they'll be able to engage with their sighted peers and really get that love and passion for learning.
So, John, you are the CEO of Lego Foundation,
Mm-hmm.
and my question is, what's revenue daily? What's revenue?
Well, at the Lego...
You love playing, huh?
I do love playing. And at the Lego Foundation, what we're looking to do is really inspire children to be creative, engaged, lifelong learners. And we believe the best way to do that is learning through play. So in society, play is often denigrated. It's considered to be the thing that children do when all the important stuff's done. But we believe, as the research shows, that play is the best way in which children can be engaged. It's the natural way in which they're wired to learn. So what we want to do is to change society's mind into the importance of play, and in that process reimagine learning as well, and make learning much more engaging and much more child-centric in its approach.
So can you describe us more the detail of all of your programs in Lego Foundation?
So we have many programs around the world that are really focused on those two areas, around working with, so for example, parents, so that they understand the importance of play and the role that play plays in the development of the child, particularly early childhood. There's been a lot of neurological research that's taken place over the course of the last decade that really highlights the importance of the role of play for children to develop things like creativity and problem solving and critical thinking, collaboration, the very skills that are going to be essential when those children grow up in a post-Fourth Industrial Revolution world. And those are the things that are enhanced by play. So what we do is we have programs around the world to work with parents in order to explain to them that importance and how to engage actively with children in playful activities.
And regarding your activities, do you have specific program regarding disease, related to disease causes?
No, we have recently formed a group called New Ventures, where we're looking more and more at the role that learning through play can have with children with disabilities. And this is our first in that particular area that we are exploring.
Okay, and in the next maybe 5 years, what do you want to do with Lego Foundation?
Well, I want to reach millions more children with the power of learning through play to help them, as I mentioned, become creative, engaged, lifelong learners and active contributors into the society and the future world.
Why, for you, the role of playing is so important in the development of children?
As I mentioned, it's just absolutely essential to develop those foundational core skills, what we call the breadth of skills. And there's lots of research now, for example, by the World Economic Forum, that is identifying the need for us as humans to be able to retool ourselves and adapt and be agile to the rapidly evolving landscape that's taking place in the world as a consequence of the advent of technology. So we believe that we need to redesign our education systems, because many of our education systems were designed to suit our grandparents, not the children of today. And we really need to revamp our education systems in order to equip children to have that versatility, to be adaptable into an ever-changing world.
Thank you. I love your name, Goodwin, for a Lego Foundation CEO man. So it's
I changed it for the job.
yeah, of course. It's marketing, right? Do you have questions for John? I'm sure you will. Yeah. And two. No, waiting for your microphone. It will be better for all the audience. Ça va marcher. Hugo?
Is it working? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
You talked about a first phase of development in Denmark and then England, and a second in France and Germany, Spain, stuff. But these are countries with a quite good educational and medical system. Did you start developing that kind of solutions for the developing countries?
Yeah, there's no restrictions in the context of the countries that we hope to reach. The one requirement that we are going to need, though, is that there's qualified pedagogues and teachers that will enable the children to be able to utilize in the bricks in the way that they can learn. We're starting with those countries really to cover the range of core Latin languages. And then once we've established that, then we'll look for new opportunities to expand the bricks elsewhere.
There is another question there.
Hello.
Hi.
How much does your work in the foundation, across the whole foundation, get to influence what the core Lego business is doing? Does any of your values or goals translate to the core commercial business?
Yeah, well, we actually share the same mission as the Lego group, is to inspire and develop the builders of tomorrow. That's the overarching mission that we both seek to ascertain. Now, we do a lot of research within the foundation and fund a lot of research as well, and do programmatic implementations around learning through play and understanding that neurological development. And the Lego group and Lego education as well, which is another commercial element of the wider family, uses that research to help them develop their products. But I should stress that within the foundation, we're product agnostic. So we look at all forms of play and learning through play, not just those using Lego materials.
Do you have other question? Yeah, there is some.
Hi, thank you for your presentation.
Hi.
I have a question about sustainability as it relates to the Lego Foundation and how you are implementing this particular mission with young children.
Could you be a little bit more specific in the context of?
Sure. So I spoke with someone yesterday who I guess is on the other side of Lego with the business, and they were sharing that Lego, the bricks are going to be 100% sustainable in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wondered if on the foundation side, if there are any initiatives to work with young children as it relates to sustainability or any type of program that you'll be doing to inspire children between the ages of 3 and 5 to live more sustainably.
Sure.
Because they can learn that young
Yeah,
to
for
be
sure.
eco-friendly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. So we work in collaboration with the Lego group, doing a program called Build the Change, which is a community-based program where we effectively fill an area like this with thousands of Lego bricks, and then we have a specific challenge for the children to work on and sort of build and utilize the bricks to build their solution to the problems. And so, for example, some of the Build the Change events we would do is, what are the new ways in which you could design a city to be more sustainable? Or what are the new energy solutions that you foresee for the future? Or what's your ideal school? These are some of the things that we do in those events. And what we find is that the creativity is fantastic. Just as an interesting aside, we recently published a report within the foundation that explores creativity and how creativity evolves in humans. And part of that conclusion was that the best way to come up with new ideas, or one of the best ways to come up with new ideas, is to pair children with adults, because children are incredibly expansive in their ideation. They're not limited by experience to such an extent that they immediately eliminate multiple options, whereas adults immediately go to the reductive form. So if you compare adults with children in that process, in that creative process, you can come up with really unusual solutions. And that's really borne out in the Build the Change type of events that we run.
And John, your job is playing with Lego.
Part of it.
Yeah, part of part of it. And what about plastic? We're at a sustainable brands. Do you have something related to a new kind of plastic material?
Yeah, well, the Lego Group is currently exploring new material types with a view to, by 2030, having Lego bricks made out of renewable materials. Well, I would
like what do you?
Plants, sugarcane,
yeah?
those types of ingredients. We're not quite at the place yet where we've got the solutions, because the amazing thing about Lego bricks, and remind you, I'm not in the commercial part of the business, but the amazing thing about it is they're highly durable. So they are able to be used over and over and over again. And one of the things we often hear is that people, when their children are grown up, they have their Lego bricks in the attic for when their children have children, so that they're continually used. So they're not like single-use plastic items, but they're ones that have a highly functional reuse opportunity, and they're great for sharing.
And I'm sure you have all Lego from your parents or grandparents, no? In the public.
I hope so. That's why you're all so intelligent.
So we have time, because the next speaker is at 3:05. So we have more time with John Goodwin. This is a good idea. This is a good annonciation. So if you have some questions for John, this is your time.
Sorry, I have another question.
That's okay.
Don't be sorry. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I have to say, having not played with Lego since a child, in the last 2 weeks, I've built your Saturn Apollo 5 model,
Excellent.
which
Well
is
done.
just the most fun I've had in years. So, but what I was disappointed to find that whilst there's whole Lego areas around architecture and lots of stuff to do with building, I'm not finding a huge amount in the range to do with pushing science and science understanding. So I just want to ask from you, you know, obviously STEM subjects is a big issue going forward. I'm a STEM ambassador myself.
Great.
What are the plans within the group to really try and take on those big social agendas about building science and technology skills as part of your Builders of the Future mission?
Yeah, well, two things on that subject. One is I've just come back from Houston, because where I was attending the first Lego League World Championships, where first is an organization that encourages children into the field of STEM through robotics competitions. But there's a great element behind their particular approach, which really looks at world problems, coming back to the lady's question over here, and how to solve them, and engages children in that process. So I met probably about 100 children while I was out there. It was attended by 15,000 children in the competition, and that's just the finalists, as it were. So it's a global activity. And the children spoke to me about their passion for the subject of STEM, what they've learned in terms of collaboration, and the role and importance of innovation and creativity, and how to be a critical thinker. So there's that's an organization which we support through the Lego Foundation. It's something that we're very passionate about, making access to that to more children around the world, particularly those that are challenged from a socioeconomic perspective. And then the second thing I was mentioning is that Lego Education recently launched a new product called Spike, which is a very accessible methodology by which children can enter into the field of STEM and build their confidence around technology and coding in order to really spike their interest So that's a new product that was launched this month, and we're very hopeful around the fact that that will get a very broad level of interest amongst many children.
Yeah, other question in the background.
Thank you. Hi, because you can't see me.
Hi.
I have a question about the title of this talk and learning through play. I was wondering if the foundation does that any kind of data collection to understand how to best equip children, especially between the ages of 3 to 5, on which are the ways in which they're learning so that you can help them with the technologies and the Legos that you provide so that they can actually complement that in their learning processes and continue growing and using it to actually supplement their, especially in the work that you were describing before, with low-income children that don't have access to stimulation and education at an early age, how Lego can bring that into their lives so that they can empower themselves and start learning more.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, we do a lot of research in this area. And what I should start by saying is that this is not about toys. So one of the projects that we're involved in is creation of what are known as what we call play labs. And those are started in Bangladesh with an organization called BRAC. And what those play labs are areas within rural spaces where within the community that are put aside for children to be able to learn through play. And what we use are just local materials, so empty bottles, sticks, and we work with the elders within the village to help them figure out how to make those toys. But children are incredibly creative, so if you give them a cardboard box, they'll turn it into a spaceship or a race car or a house, and that form of stimulation is the seeds of creativity. So what we're doing is with multiple partners around the world, we're figuring out ways in which we can develop these low-cost play environments so that all children can have access to amazing learning through play, particularly those 3 to 5-year-old age groups, irrespective of their economic backgrounds.
So thank you so much, but I'm so sad because the PR told us that you should leave us. So thank you so much, Goodwin.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this inspiring intervention.